Hi everyone! Welcome back to another episode of the Gentle Flutter. My name is Naya Weems and thank you so much for joining me today. As you can see, we don't have a laptop today, we have our phone, so a smaller device. I'm gonna see, when I watch this video back, if I like it, using it a little bit more than my laptop. I feel like my laptop is so big and I don't know, I guess it looks fine, but I just kind of want to see what it looks like just using my phone. So yeah, today we are going to be talking about discipline and motivation and how that all ties into our self-love journey, why it's so important. Like I always say, or as I've been saying the past couple episodes, I am going to try to keep this short. I have 25 minutes worth of recording time on this camera and actually to use this space that I'm in right now. So it kind of all fits in and it all works out. I kind of need to make sure I keep it pretty short. So yeah, we're not going to rush through it, but it's going to be a pretty short episode today, like it usually is. I usually try to keep it pretty short. Okay, so we're going to start off this podcast by I'm going to congratulate myself. These videos are for me. They're for my future self to look back on. And of course for you guys too, but a huge part of why I started this is for myself, for, just to have something to look back on and to just really, really intentionally remember this journey that I've been going on. So yeah, I'm going to start off by congratulating myself. I found out yesterday some really good news about a job that I had applied for that I received. I got an offer for it, and I'm so excited. It's something I've been wanting to do, not for super long, probably just the past few months, but when you want something and then that's all that's on your mind for however long. I feel like the past few months this has been on my mind. And yeah, I'm really excited about it because I feel like it's the perfect next kind of step for this new chapter that I'm on, this journey that I'm entering, where I'm really trying to take on more leadership roles, more social roles, where I'm really just putting myself out there in ways that I never have before. Because when I tell you guys, that was not me. Growing up, just very shy, which is fine, but the things that I do now, the things that are a huge part of my life are things that I don't know if I ever really saw for myself growing up, just because I did have more of a shy and quiet personality. And I still do at times. I think, it's a spectrum. I'm never the same way all the time, but I'm really proud of myself because I have been putting myself in positions where I am forced to step outside of my comfort zone. I am forced to really put myself out there and be put in leadership positions. So I'm really proud of myself. And this offer that I found out about yesterday is just another cherry on top of the cake as far as another opportunity to really put myself out there and to just practice leadership and to practice being very vocal, very verbal, very outgoing, and really just continuing to form this human or this version of myself that I've really been working at for a while. So yeah, I just wanted to start off by congratulating myself because I'm really proud of myself. It can be a little tricky when you're in this waiting period of something's going to happen, you're telling yourself all the right things, you're being very positive about it, but then it's maybe not showing up as fast as you would want. So it just felt so good when it finally happened and I finally got the email that I've been waiting for. So I'm really excited. Okay, so yeah, just wanted to start it off by saying that. And now let's get into it. So discipline, guys, we all need it. I know I need it. I've gotten better over the past couple of months, but we still can get better. Believe me, I have a lot of room for improvement when it comes to discipline. So yeah, let's just get into it. I mean, the first note that I have here is that we really need discipline rather than motivation. I think, when we're motivated about something, I know I have little spurs of motivation that I just experience, it can be so easy in those moments to I don't know, go to the gym or study or do whatever task it is that you've been putting off for so long. When you have these moments of being super motivated, having this motivation, it can be easy to do these things that we've been putting off finally in this moment because we feel like we're ready for it. However, the problem here is that feelings are consistent. We can't always rely on our feelings and on our emotions. They change. They're constantly changing. So that's where the problem comes in, I mean, it's great when we feel motivated. It's great when we feel that positive energy. All that is amazing, but it's too temporary to rely on motivation to get things done. You need to rely on discipline. You need to have a routine, something that you're sticking to, so that you are actively and consistently getting done what you need to get done, And I've definitely been a huge, what am I trying to say? Like, I've done this where it's like I've waited until I felt motivation to do certain things. And it never works out because it's like, great, I got it done that one time or these few little times, but then I'm right back to where I was before because I don't always feel motivated. And that's totally natural. That's fine that we're not always super motivated, but we do need something to fall back on for when we're not motivated, and that's discipline. So what is discipline? Let's talk about that. What is discipline? What is motivation? So I meant to look this up before, but I didn't. Don't come for me. I promise I'm prepared. I'm just, I should have looked this up before. So the Google definition of discipline is the practice of training people to obey rules or code of behavior. This says using punishment to correct disobedience. Obviously, that's not the type of discipline we're talking about, but I like the first one, first definition. Really the practice of training people to obey rules or code of behavior. Now, what does this look like when it comes to self-discipline? Obviously, instead of people, we can replace that with ourselves. We are literally training ourselves. We're in the practice of training ourselves to obey the rules that we give ourselves, and to follow a certain code of behavior. I think, the important thing is when it comes to self-discipline is that you are literally doing this to yourself. And that's hard. It's hard because it's like you're kind of like holding yourself accountable rather than relying on someone else to hold you accountable for certain things. Like it's this emotion, that's kind of the point. It's not an emotion. It's this thing that we constantly want to experience in our lives, but that we have to kind of force ourselves to experience. We have to put in that work to be disciplined. Like no one else is going to do that for us. So I like that definition, but we really want to make sure we're looking at it from a perspective of this is about me. This is about me doing the training, me putting in that practice, me obeying the rules that I set for myself, me following the code of behavior that I put for myself. Now, what's the definition of motivation? Motivation is, these are just off Google. I'm just like keeping it real simple. Definition of motivation. Okay, here we go. The general desire or willingness of someone to do something. Simple. But let's look here. The general desire or willingness. Are we always going to feel willing to do certain things? No, we're not. And again, that kind of just ties back into my point before of it's really about training. These were these two different words that we saw in these different definitions. For discipline, we saw training. We saw code of behavior. We saw obey. We saw rules. These were words in that definition. For motivation, desire, willingness. As you can see, it's coming from more of a place of emotion, of how we're feeling in the moment rather than a rule that we're following, So I wanted to just kind of go over the definitions to really just poke at and really emphasize how important it is to separate these two certain things and to understand that they are very, very, very different. And one is going to get you somewhere. The other, maybe it's going to get you somewhere sometimes, but not all the time. So just really, really, really important to stay disciplined. I also have a note here that talks about how when it comes to this motivation versus discipline, we need to remember that our brain is literally a survival organ. So this is something that I kind of struggled with, is that like a lot of the times, I'm going to use my job, for example. I feel like, again, there was a time specifically like last summer when like I was not super motivated or disciplined. And the most important thing being that I wasn't disciplined. But my brain, in certain moments when I would need to get certain things done, it was almost like my brain was telling me whatever it needed to survive. And I mean, that's the truth. Again, it's a survival organ. It's designed to solve problems related to surviving when we're in an unstable environment. This quote unquote unstable environment for me, I think was just being outside of my comfort zone. When I felt like I was asked to do something that I wasn't like super comfortable with or I just wasn't familiar with, my brain would come up with 1,000 reasons why I just shouldn't do it. And as a result, I didn't do it. And that's because your brain is designed to allow you to survive. And to survive, that's the thing. I saw a YouTube video about this. It's crazy because it's like your brain, it's great. We love it. We need it, all that. But it's not really concerned about your future. It's not really concerned about what's best for you in the future. It's concerned about the here and now, the present moment, And just because you're making decisions based off of how you feel in the present moment, that doesn't mean that's going to be good for tomorrow or the day after that. If I decide not to get a task done because I feel like it's super unfamiliar for me, it's outside of my comfort zone, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I'm scared, which are all valid feelings, but that's not a reason not to do something. But if my brain, my brain is going to react to that. It wants me to survive. So in that moment, it's going to tell me whatever it needs to so that I survive through that moment. And more than likely, that's going to mean not doing it. That's going to mean procrastinating, putting it to the side, telling myself I'm going to do it tomorrow or the next day. And that's, I know for me, what always ends up happening, and it just continues the cycle of procrastination. But what my brain isn't doing is reminding me that, hey, if you put this off till 2 days from now, you're going to have double the amount of things to do. You're going to have even more anxiety, even more fear about whatever it is because you're not dealing with it. You're just putting it off, So I really wanted to bring that up because I think obviously we love our brains. We need them. We need them literally to survive, as this whole point is. But let's maybe try to keep it more for survival. Let's say when we're in like an actual dangerous situation, like in the woods or something, where our brain also should step in then. But I think it's great. It's to our benefit when it comes to certain things like that, like specifically safety, when it comes to maybe running away from something or like, just in situations where we are unsafe. But, and again, that's just one example of like, that's just one example of a time where our brains are being put to good use. Obviously, there's plenty of other examples. I'm just using that as one example. But on the flip side of that, this whole survival thing, it's really not the best. And it's something we have to work towards when it comes to, getting through certain moments that we just don't want to deal with. Like, that's when it's not working out for our benefit, because down the line, we're only going to suffer. It's only going to make it worse that we're thinking about our survival, even if it's not consciously. But, again, our brain is doing that for this present moment, again, just focusing on the present moment, not down the line. So just really, really, really important to keep in mind. And it's something that I try to remind myself, like if I'm being lazy or like, and again, these are all valid feelings. They're all okay to have. But if I'm allowing like my laziness, my fear, my anxiety to take over in a certain moment, it's not going to benefit me in the long run. Like it's really not. Like I may put it off, but it's something I'm eventually going to have to deal with. So I just like to remind myself of that. The brain is a survival organ. It's designed so that I survive in this moment. It's not thinking about what's best for me 2 days from now. It's thinking about this present moment. Also, just important to keep in mind, motivation, it comes and goes. Going back to that, it is literally based off of how you are feeling, and feelings, as we know, are not consistent. They are temporary. We feel them, and then we feel something else, and then something else. Our emotions are constantly changing based off of our circumstance, based off of whatever situation we're in. So we really don't, and I'm not saying this as if it's like this super easy thing, but it's something we don't want to rely on, because if you rely on that, then you're constantly going to have things that you're putting off, because your feelings are constantly going to be changing. They're not consistent. So, great. We went over a little bit of discipline, a little bit of motivation, how important these differences are, how important it is to be disciplined and not motivated, focus on discipline, not motivation. Now, let's talk about what are some tips? How can we actually be better at being disciplined? What are some tips for being more disciplined? I need to hear this. So every topic I go over on this podcast, there are literally things that I need to remind myself about, that I need to do my own research on. So yeah, these are just some notes that, just me watching YouTube videos and really doing my own research on these things, and just really wanting to remind myself of these things, and hopefully you guys as well, if you need them. So number one, we want to establish clear goals. You need direction, okay? You need to have something specific that you are working towards. What is your why? That is very, very, very important. Your why. Why am I doing this? What is the end point here? I think as humans, it's so important that we have that. We need, even if you're not someone who, you don't think you need a huge amount of structure, you do need some structure when it comes to discipline, because you are going to need something, especially if it's something that you struggle with. You need something at the end of the tunnel. What am I working towards? What is the why here? So I think that's a huge, huge, huge part of becoming more disciplined. Is the first thing is figuring out your why. Why do I want to accomplish this task? Why is it important that I'm not procrastinating and putting it off every single day? What is my why here? I'm even put a note down. So for me, for the Gentle Flutter, when I was doing this research, it had me think about what my why is for that. Or why, why did I do this? Why do I get up every, what is it, Friday? I do this I record on Fridays and come to the library, and everything's already like also, it's not a whole bunch I have to do except sit here and talk, which is why I love podcasts, but it's still effort to come in and do it. And yeah, I've only posted 3 episodes, but there's definitely been like, maybe even today and like last week when I was sick, where like I didn't necessarily want to, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to say I didn't want to, but again, your brain is it's always about survival. So maybe I was like, oh, I should be working on something else, or I could just stay in and sleep instead of getting up in the morning and coming in. So it's not necessarily that I don't want to. I love doing this, but like, I feel like my brain is always like, when I decide to do something, it's like, oh, but you can do this or you can do that, like something else. But it's like, no, that's where the discipline comes in. This is something that I told myself I'm going to do every Friday for my own self-love journey. That's my why. This podcast has been really holding me accountable when it comes to research that I am actively doing to love myself more. Because in order to share how to love myself more and self-improvement, to self-discipline, all this stuff, I have to know it myself. And by me doing this research and looking at these videos, TikToks, whatever it may be, however I may do my research, it's helping me with my self-love journey. It's content that I'm consuming, that I'm constantly reminding myself about, so that I can ultimately go further on my own journey. So that's my why. It's really helping me hold myself accountable. Not that I couldn't if I wasn't recording myself and doing these podcast episodes, but it helps a lot. Like I said, you need something to hold you accountable. Not someone, because we may not always have someone, but something that you are relying on for you. For me, I have this studio time. I know that, like, of course, each episode I'm going to be talking about something specific related to self-love, whether it's something that I've been impacted by personally, like that week or whatever, or just something that I know is important for self-love. There's so much content out there, and I'm just adding to the content that's already out in the world. But yeah, I think you guys just really have to remember, there's so much content. There's so much to consume out there. Obviously being mindful of like how much we're consuming, because you don't want to be on technology 24/7, or like on YouTube 24/7. That's something I'm really been working on for this year, is like just less screen time, just less time on any technology device. I know I sound really old right there, but that's also important. But obviously social media is a part of our life, and it's a huge resource when it comes to research like this, like figuring out, how can I love myself more? What can I intentionally do on this journey to become my highest possible self? So yeah, obviously it's not all bad. There are really, really, really great things that come with social media and technology and all that, but really making sure that we're using this content for good. I feel like I kind of went on a tangent there, but it's all important, so it's fine. Okay, so going back to establishing clear goals, thank you guys for hanging in there with me. Just keeping in mind that when you don't have a why, your why, connected to your goals, you're not going to have any urgency when it comes to achieving them. And that is so true. You can like wake up one day and think, okay, I'm going to start my gym journey, my fitness journey. I'm entering my fitness era, whatever it is. That's great, but without any specific goals of what exactly you want, I don't know if that discipline is going to be there, because what exactly are you working towards? Is it a certain weight that you're trying to get to? Is it or go down to? Is it that you want to be able to like lift a certain, like physically lift a certain weight? I don't know. I know it sounds like I don't go to the gym. I promise I'm super into fitness. I'm just like, nothing's coming to mind right now. Is it a certain amount of like distance that you want to run? You know what I mean? Whatever it may be, let's make it specific. Let's have these clear goals that are established so that we know what exactly we're working towards. Not just, I want a better body. Like, what does that even mean? That means a lot of different things. Healthy bodies look in multiple different ways, look so many different ways. So it's like, yeah, what does that mean? I want to be healthy. I want a healthier body. What exactly does that mean? What foods are you eating? What are you drinking? What are you not drinking? How often are you going to the gym? What are you doing at the gym? Really establishing these very clear goals is going to be a huge help when it comes to being more disciplined. You also need to create routines. You are a lot more likely to get things done when they are a part of your routine. And I want to emphasize that this is really where knowing yourself comes into play. For me, that looks like really knowing myself when it comes to like, when is the best time during the day for me to do my routine. So like for me, some things I like to do for my routines is like, I have a self-love journal that my mom got me for like my birthday that I've been doing like little prompts on, a gratitude journal. I like to read my Bible. Like, these are just things that like I saw myself doing very frequently this year in 2025. But again, this goes back to establishing clear goals. What I needed to tell myself, like, when exactly am I going to do this? Like, when is this going to happen? I know myself. For me, the morning is when I'm the most sharp. That's when I'm the most focused. That's when I have my attention span is longer, like when I first wake up. So I know that like the mornings is when I need to dedicate and take off time for this routine and these things that I want as a part of my routine. So for you, what does that look like? What time of the day is best for you to like get this routine done? And then it's really just a matter of sticking to it. Is it the morning? Is it maybe during your lunch break? Is it right before bed? Whatever works for you. And again, that's what really knowing yourself comes into play. And if you don't know, that's okay. Try out different times. Try out different days. Try out just you kind of have to experiment maybe to see what works for you. And then once you do, it's kind of like, okay, well, this is what works for me, and this is when I can actually practice through doing this routine daily. But you really need to know when works better for you. Let's make it easy for ourselves. You know, that's the thing I realize. Like, I have to make it as easy as possible because discipline is already something I struggle with. It's hard for me. So why not make everything else as easy as possible, you know? So really making sure that you know when the best times are for you to do these routines, along with actually having a routine that you're sticking to and that you're constantly creating. Yeah, I mean, for me, so there's an example of something that has worked for me, which is like getting up in the morning and like doing, again, these journal prompts and everything like that, sticking to that routine in the mornings. But now let's go on the other side, the flip side. Thinking about my own life when it comes to like uploading these YouTube videos, let's just say. I have found that I've been really proud of myself. I've been posting on Saturdays, pretty much, I think, like I've said. But I've been posting these like longer form content episodes to my YouTube, to Spotify, to Apple Podcasts. But what I haven't been doing, which I said I was going to do, is post more short form content. YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok. I haven't even made the TikTok account for this, for the Gentle Flutter yet, which I need to do. But I don't know, I was just thinking about that because I realized the huge difference there is that when it comes to the short form content, I didn't have any specific clear goals, and I didn't make a routine for myself when it comes to that. I did make a routine when it comes to recording, when it comes to posting on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like these longer form episodes. But when it comes to like actually going in, editing it's not even a whole bunch of editing. It's literally just like taking a chunk out and then figuring out like, okay, maybe popping some subtitles on there and then posting it. It's really not hard. But again, it honestly doesn't even matter how hard or easy it is, because when you don't have discipline, when you don't have a routine, when you don't have a clear goal of when you are going to do these things, it does become hard. You know what I mean? Even if it's like not in reality hard, because it's super easy. But again, I don't have those clear goals, which I need. So yeah, just a little example from my own life that I need to get better at. I really need to establish a clear goals when it comes to like posting this short editing and then posting the shorter form content so that I can get more of this content out there, because I've really been enjoying I've really been enjoying recording these episodes. So I really want to make sure that I'm just getting more of this short form content out there, because I know that's like, it's a lot better. Okay, so I think we're actually going to end there. We have about like a minute and 30 left. And I did have more things that I kind of could go over, but we always have more episodes. I'm definitely going to be making another episode on like discipline. This is something that I need to work on. So I think I'm just going to leave you guys with the fact that once you start, it does get easier. Oh my gosh, when I tell you this has been something that I've struggled with for so long, like for a very long time. But once I started, I just took that first step. It really did become easier. And I still have a long way to go. There's always going to be room for improvement. That's always going to be the case. But it really has gotten easier. So I really just want to make sure I emphasize that. Like, it's literally starting. And if you guys ever need help, please reach out to me. Comments, DMs, whatever it is. You have all my social media information. But please do not hesitate to reach out, because this is something that I've struggled with. So I really want to make sure that you guys know that I'm here. I'm here to tell you about my experience. I'm here to help you in any way that I can. But yeah. All right, we're gonna end there, and we're a little early. We got about 30 seconds left, so we early. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.